family of Sushant Singh Rajput wrote an impassioned letter, an open letter where they spoke out against what they say is a smear campaign against them. Remember, this comes on the back of earlier a piece in Samna saying that Sushant was distant from his family because he was upset with his father having a second marriage. Now, the family has actually gone out and sued Samna and Sanjay Raut for defamation. But that's not where things ended. Today, we had Majid Memon of the NCP, again echoing what some people have said earlier. Why the whole hullabaloo about a small star like Sushant Singh Rajput if it's not about politics? Listen in.
ये मेरी जानकारी और ये सच उनके फैमिली में क्या चल रहा था वो भी एक जांच का वो बिहार में खास कितने बार सुशांत अपने पिता को मिलने गया था पटना में आप देखिए उतना आप प्यार जो आपको शौक हाँ सदमा ये सब शब्द मैंने देखे हैं
माझ्या दृष्टीने हा विषय तितका महत्त्वाचा नाही म्हणजे एखाद्या व्यक्तीने आत्महत्या केली तर निश्चित आपल्याला दुःख होतं पण त्याची चर्चा ज्या पद्धतीने आज होते त्याच्याबद्दल मला थोडं आश्चर्य वाटतं तर एका शेतकऱ्याने माझ्या हात धरला जाताना आणि मला विचारलं की एक कलाकार आत्महत्याला गेला दुर्दैव आहे ते व्हायला नको होतं पण त्याची चर्चा ज्या पद्धतीने मीडियामध्ये होते त्याचं आम्हाला आश्चर्य वाटतं त्या भागात त्याची 20 शेतकऱ्यांनी आत्महत्या केल्या मीडियात त्याची नोंद सुद्धा कोणी घेत नाही
ये पीड़ित अपमानित करने वाला शर्मनाक बयान है। महाराष्ट्र सरकार के ये दल के बड़े नेता तुरंत सुशांत के परिवार की और समूचे देश में जो सुशांत के फैंस हैं उनकी माफी मांगे।
Watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us in the debate, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, along with JDU's Ajay Alok. We have leader of the Shiv Sena, Mahesh Tiwari, and political analyst and senior journalist Ashutosh continues with us. Why this campaign, Ashutosh, against a man who's not around, who's dead, and his family?
No, I don't think there should be any campaign against Sushant Singh Rajput. He's no longer there to defend himself, not to say anything. I think it's wrong on the part of the people who are doing it. But one thing which is sure that Sushant Singh Rajput investigation should happen and whoever is responsible should be brought to book. And if it is not suicide, then who is the people who conspired? That should also come out. But I think Sushant Singh Rajput was not as big a star as Amir Khan or Shah Rukh Khan or that. Yes, he was a rising star. He was a good star. He had done some very good films. And in fact, he was probably one of the mega stars in the future. But as at this moment, when he died, he wasn't in that league of Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, or Salman Khan.
So
or Amitabh
his death shouldn't be investigated.
Obviously, his death has to be investigated.
All right. So Tuhin Sinha, his death should be investigated. Ajay Alok, but let's be honest, he wasn't in the same league as Shah Rukh Khan, says Ashutosh.
I'm really surprised at Ashutosh comments that Sushant was not a big star. I say that don't call him a star. Don't call him a star. Had he been just a simple layman, and if his body would have been found in such a mysterious circumstance, shouldn't this have been investigated, Ashutosh? How can you say that just he was a rising star, he was not as big as in a league of Amir Khan? So what?
No.
74-year-old father with 4 sisters left behind, our only son, who is dying in a mysterious circumstances and father lodging an FIR after 30 days of lame duck investigation conducted by Mumbai police. I mean, this logic doesn't suffice that he wasn't in the league of big stars. So that league of big stars theory does not come here. What is unfortunate today that today we have seen how low we can stoop.
And what was the point of Sanjay Raut writing in the Samna that his father has a second marriage?
Yeah.
How is that relevant at all, Ashutosh? To what's happening?
I'm not here to defend Sanjay Raut or what that Thackeray is saying or somebody else is saying, Sharad Pawar is saying. But I maintained from the day one, the investigation should happen. The truth should come out. The truth should come out, whether it is done by the Mumbai police.
So don't measure the size of his kingdom at this point of time.
But there is a
don't measure the size of his stardom. Why should you get into that frivolous debate? Can I come in, Show?
there is a section of politics who doesn't want the truth to come out. And that is why I'm saying let investigation, independent, neutral and truthful investigation should happen.
Because
unfortunately, the politics is happening from both the sides. And both the sides have no...
Because, you know, the insinuation when people talk about his stardom or him not being a big enough star is that what's the fuss about? I mean, you know, I'm sorry to say this in Hindi, but generally the sentiment conveyed is, मतलब क्या हो गया? ठीक है, कोई बहुत बड़ा स्टार थोड़ी ना था, इतना बड़ा, what is the big fuss about somebody's death? Why is it even relevant if somebody is a star, big star, small star? Even if tomorrow, God forbid, something is to happen to a lay person, that should be investigated. Why even bring in somebody's career success?
I think you got it very wrong. You got it very wrong. You asked the question, what about his star status? The fact is, he was a good actor. There's no doubt about it. I've seen his 2 movies at least.
What are we discussing, Ashutosh? What are we discussing?
He was in the league of Amitabh Bachchan. No, he was not in that league. But that does it mean?
Nothing to do with acting,
that should not be investigated. That has to be investigated.
What are we discussing, Ashutosh? You are a more sensible man than the Shiv Sena government in Maharashtra.
Come on, don't give me a summons.
More sensible than the Shiv Sena government in Maharashtra. Don't even discuss the size of his stardom. He was a man who had achieved everything of his own efforts. Anyway, you've spoken. Let me make my point over here. Let's see, Padmaja, as of today, 11,000 policemen in Maharashtra have been affected by COVID and 121 have died. Now, and in this situation, and especially after this, please don't interfere in between. Have the basic manners. Please don't interfere in between. See, as of today, especially after the botch-up, I think any sensible state government would have been more than happy to let CBI take over the case. But instead, what we see over here is first of all, the state government and the prime accused started speaking the language of each other, and now there is a concerted campaign against the disease. Ashutosh, please have the basic courtesy. I don't know what is wrong with you. Instead of condemning Sanjay Raut, instead of condemning the Shiv Sena government, you are basically condoning the language, which is very disgusting.
Okay, let me bring in Mahesh Tiwari as well, leader of the Shiv Sena. Mahesh Tiwari ji, आज जो फैमिली है सुशांत सिंह राजपूत की, उन्होंने एक बहुत ही आहत चिट्ठी लिखी है कि आप इधर उधर की बात ना कर, ये बता काफिला क्यों लुटा। आप जो क्राइम हुआ है, जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन में जो लैक्यूना है, उनकी बात करने की जगह किसकी कितनी शादी हुई है, किसके कैसे रिश्ते थे, कौन कितनी बार बात करता था, कौन कब पटना जाता था, क्यों?
Padmaja, I would like to answer first your question. You correctly said that whether he was a big star or a small star doesn't matter. I say that he's a big star. He was big star and he was rising sun. That is why matter should be properly investigated.
Then why is the Samna slandering him, sir?
Investigating the matter in correct.
I'm very thankful to you that you have evaluated his career favorably, but can I please know what was the point of slandering him in the Samna?
No one is slandering. No one is slandering. See, what the statement has been given earlier, and the respected Sanjay Raut ji has already said that he was living in Mumbai, he was rising in Mumbai. That is, it is the moral responsibility of the Mumbai police. That matter should be investigated.
No,
properly.
sir, that is not what Sanjay Raut said. Sanjay Raut said in his article in the Samna that Sushant had a strained relationship with his father. He was not on good terms with his father. Father's second marriage led to estrangement between the two. And आज जब संजय राउत जी से पूछा गया कि आपके खिलाफ नोटिस आया है, लीगल नोटिस, उन्होंने कहा बड़े नोटिस आते रहते हैं. Even today he is not regretting what he said.
Padmaja, he was not saying so. It is written in the newspaper, and you can find out the Times of India dated 14th of July, and it is very much, you can show. I have that statement which is printed in the media, and it is clearly say, did you know Sushant Singh Rajput had visited his birthplace in Bihar recently after 17 years.
Does that newspaper article say that he was estranged because his father was married twice? That is what Sanjay Raut wrote in Samna.
It is written in the newspaper, and that is why he was told.
He is trying to demoralize the family, Sanjay Raut.
No one is demoralized.
Only
one political party which is situated in the Bihar.
No, and you are resorting to quoting from an article, but you're quoting half-truths. What was the point of writing about his father's marriage or otherwise? And the simple point is that today, Ajay Alok, again, Mr. Raut was asked, what do you have to say about the legal notice? He says, bade sare aate rehte hain. Does that show any amount of remorse?
No, they don't have any amount of remorse. And let me tell you, Sanjay Raut is actually becoming Raut for Shiv Sena and Raut for Maharashtra government in the coming days. Because let the CBI take the investigation, and it's a request from the Supreme Court that please do it under your monitoring. And the skeletons will come out in 7 days. You will see what happens. And to add
the matter is reserved, and order is coming tomorrow.
Sushant Singh is getting publicity after his death.
Just the problem here is that the CBI inquiry is recommended by the state of Bihar, who doesn't have any power.
But you know, the good thing is that the kind of language that we have stooped to in what is a case of a suspicious death, talking about people's lives, talking about people's families, talking about their character, the moral judgment. You've had the family, now take the legal route, and we're hoping the same is done by every other family whose name and whose history has been dragged through mud as well. And here I'm talking about what has been said about Disha Salyan. Let's not forget, Tuhin Sinha, that Narayan Rane also dragged in Disha Salyan and her family. So we are waiting to hear from her family. Let's see what happens there. This should stop. This is not the kind of conversation we should be having in our country. No family should be subjected to this. I'm going to end on that note. Thank you very much, all gentlemen, for joining me.